Episode 141 of 5 Drinks to Midnight. In the show, we bring the questions, guests bring the drinks, we try to wrap up before midnight. Today we are headed to Amor Y Amargo to talk to Nick Bennett, owner of the Puppet Tavern. Before we do, like and subscribe, hit the bells, the whistles, leave a comment if you like what we're doing. Really help us push us in the algorithm. Let's get started. For joining me. 5 drinks for midnight, 5 drinks, 5 questions.
My pleasure, man.
Midnight, whatever comes first. Thank you for joining me on Amor Y Amargo. I really appreciate it. How are we doing today?
We're doing great, man. This is fantastic. I love this bar. I love you. This whole program. I'm thrilled about this.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so when I reach out to people and they immediately say yes, it just makes my day because it just is. You just know, you're down for a fucking good time. So, that is it.
Hell yeah. Thrilled you reached out, too, man. I love that the social media can do that sort of thing. Bring people together like this.
I saw you walking around BCB, and I was like, I wasn't going to come say hi, but then I
did we say it? I should have. I feel like...
I didn't want to be that nerdy, but then I was like, oh, man. But I guess question one, what are we drinking first?
We're drinking a cold brew.
Okay.
That's it, man. Yeah. I'm a dad. Yeah. I'm a new dad, and
congratulations.
I need to. Thank you so much. He's almost 2 now. He's a year and a half at this point. A little bit more than a year and a half. So I make a lot of pretty strong cold brew.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's a 4-to-1 grind to. Sorry, reverse that. 4-to-1 water to grind and sit for 24 hours and just kind of strain the whole thing out and enjoy it for a week.
Awesome.
Yeah, right?
I'm not a big coffee guy, but that's
I hope you enjoy it.
No, I do very much. Yeah, it's just I love when people nerd you're you probably have that big machine and you're bring your own beans in.
I have that too. Let's not be fair. I have that too because it takes a while to make, and I go through a lot of coffee now. It's always been I'm surprised the question doesn't come up with you, but when I was still bartending, every single time it was always, what's your favorite drink to make? What is your favorite thing to drink when you're not working? I'm like, it's always gonna be coffee. It's always gonna be coffee because it's the first thing I have, and probably the second and third thing I have every single day.
Everybody, in the beginning, I asked people that question quite a bit, and everybody, professionals, bar industry professionals, were always water. Drink water. That is
smart. Very smart.
And then I saw a meme way back in the day. It was when I was younger, I used to think that coffee was the drink of adults. And then when I got to old enough to drink coffee, I thought beer was the drink of adults. And then when I got to drinking beer, I found out water is the drink of adults. So that is
I've seen that too.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to the water part.
Yeah, same. I don't trust water. Yeah, so it's but all right. So question one, always an origin story.
Bring it on.
But how'd you get started in the hospitality business? And is it true it was because of your great aunt?
There is a little bit of truth to that. So I got involved in the hospitality industry because I grew up out in the Hamptons. I grew up. And as posh and lovely as that sounds, I grew up there. I didn't vacation there. And when you grow up there, you're cleaning pools, you're doing construction, you're doing landscaping, or you're working in the many bars and restaurants. And my uncle owned a bar out there called the Corner Bar, the local spot, the local sports bar, and it was a ton of fun. It's been there for what is it? He sadly passed away a number of years ago, and now it's owned by my cousins. And it's still there, and it's been there for 40 years. I can't remember the actual timeline of it at this point. But it was always his, and it was one of those things where I was bar backing in, or I was bussing at the Italian place in town, And one day he came in and was like, man, if you were working for me, you'd be bartending by now. And I was like, 2-week notice that night, and started bar backing that later that week.
All right.
And just slowly worked my way up to bartending there. And one of the first drinks that I had to learn how to make was a Manhattan, because my great aunt Nancy, who was probably in her late 80s at that point, she made it to 2 weeks shy of her 98th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Like mentally on point, but every day would come into the corner bar and have her Manhattan. Because just like Canadian Club Rye and the garbage vermouth that we had there, because we're talking like 2001 maybe 2002, when I was like actively, like I was just shy of my 21st birthday when I started bartending there, and had to like the big bright maraschino cherries, like it was
the nuclear like red ones.
Oh my god, yeah, the ones everyone always grew up on. Everyone knows what they are. And it was just one of those things I had to learn how to make that one first, because that was the first cocktail that I was going to make as a bartender.
Okay.
And it was the first thing I made when she came in. She was like, make me a Manhattan. And I was like, I got you. And it was warm and under-diluted and had to do it again.
Right.
But yeah, that was 100% like my intro into cocktails kind of had my great aunt Nancy incorporated in that one, and I always think of her when I think of like bartending, like
that's awesome.
Cocktail.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I'm really mad at you because of in our social stalking, research that we did. You talked about a TV show that I had never heard of that also got you into bartending.
Oh my god! Three Sheets for Zaylan.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like that was like, alright, so that one, like, this was when HD Network was a thing.
Yeah.
And that was like late night at the bar when like games were over, and we're talking like after 10 o'clock, I would put on whatever the hell I wanted to. And that show came on at one point, and I was like, I'm fascinated by this show. And like, cause I feel like one of the first few episodes was like in Oaxaca, and then Jamaica, and then Champagne, France, and I'm like learning a little bit more about all this product that I didn't really spend any time studying it, because it was a beer and shot bar, and if it wasn't Jameson and Bud Light, no one was actually ordering it. That's why the vermouth was on the back bar too. Like this was before any one of us was like, oh, it needs to be refrigerated.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be. It wasn't going to get used. If it wasn't seen, you weren't going to use it, and no one saw it in the refrigerator. So, but that show like really kind of kick-started my interest in understanding drinking habits. Not necessarily like the real geekiness about everything that goes on in these bottles, because there's thousands and thousands of stories that go on in these bottles. And I love every aspect about that now. But then it was more just, it's more than just a beer and a shot that you have until you just can't have anymore. It's like there's like elements to it. Like you drink champagne because you want to celebrate.
Sure.
You drink tequila and mezcal because you want to be social. You drink beer in Ireland because you want to be part of the community. Like I found that fascinating. Because at that point in my like real early 20s, I was like, I didn't think about that. I just drank drinks to drink.
Yeah.
Like that's all it was.
Yeah.
And I love that show. And Zane Lamprey kind of became like a kind of not an idol, but like a very big inspiration for me. And like I got to meet him at Tales of the Cocktail one time.
Nice!
I was so thrilled by that. Like it was a brief moment, and it was a ton of fun. And like I've messaged him a couple times online. Since, and like I'll get the occasional response, but he's doing a million other things, and like
it's fucking awesome.
I know, it was so cool. So cool.
And the reason why is that I hate you is because I'm on a rabbit hole. So like YouTube has a whole bunch of it. Like I'm on like
it's a great show.
I watched I think before I came, I watched the New York New Year's Eve show. So like it just like that. I just was like.
Great! I'm glad more people are watching this show again. It's a great one.
I gotta tell Nick, I want to be like, you fucker, you got me hooked on this show.
Got you hooked.
Yeah. And then beverage director at Porchlight.
Yes, sir.
And then again, the Puppet Tavern.
So to kind of get back into the origin story, I guess because we rambled around.
Yeah, I love it.
So after the corner bar, I started writing. I started doing the East Hampton Independent, wrote for that newspaper, wrote for Thrillist. So I was going back and forth, doing some writing and then bartending and kind of just bouncing back and forth. And at a certain point, I got to, I was living in Williamsburg, and my roommates and I started up a supper club.
Yep.
And then that one got a little bit of traction, and that introduced me to a bunch of people in the beverage industry, because it was called the Whisk and Ladle, and we got a chance to really got a lot of notice for it. Honestly, oddly enough, there was a little bit of a TV show about that one on Food 2, and that was a thing that I don't think really obviously didn't go anywhere with that. And then from there, I met some people who were opening up a bar in Manhattan, or in Brooklyn. I met this gentleman named Floyd, Brian Floyd, who lives in Austin now, a really good friend of mine, and he was opening a bar with Saul Bolton in Brooklyn, and I started bartending there. So I got a little bit more bartending chops in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, and then they were opening we're in Amor Y Amargo right now, but this was at one point a rum bar called Cienfuegos and El Cobre.
Okay.
Cienfuegos was upstairs. This was El Cobre. And when this bar started opening up, I got a chance to work with Jane Danger, who was running this, and a very good friend of mine, Meyer, who were running this beverage program. And I started tending bar here, and this really kind of launched me into my cocktail chops.
Okay.
And then I started working in Amor Y Amargo, and then I got the opportunity from there to move over to Booker and Dax, which was a ton of fun. I got a chance to work with Dave Arnold over there, and then I made it to get it to. All right, we're catching up now. Oh my God, the origin stories. What am I leaving out? Then from Amor Y Amargo, from Booker and Dax, I saw a job posting that Danny Meyer was opening up a bar, and I sent my resume in, and I love that this is how this all kind of worked out. I sent my resume in, was like, I'd be a great head bartender, and I thought I would be, and I sent that to them, and didn't hear anything, not a peep. It was because I think they had somebody in mind. At some point, it may have actually been Southern at some point. I'm not sure about that. And nothing. So radio silence. And then I hear that they were doing an open call. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to leave Booker and Dax for anything less than a head bartender position, but I would love to see what Danny Meyer is doing. Please let me see what Danny Meyer is doing. So I went to just go meet the people and went to the open call. And then when they saw my resume, they're like, wait, you sent your resume in, right? We already have a copy of this. Would you like to come back and talk a little bit more? Because apparently, whoever it was, they had completely fallen through. And I got the next day, it was just boom, 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 really fast. Met the general manager, met the managing director, then met the beverage director for the company, and then met just the next person up and the next person up, and then suddenly it's do you want this job? And I'm oh my God, all right, oh yeah, okay, all right, 2-week notice. And then just the ball kept rolling, and then there I ended up, I started off as the head bartender at Porchlight, and had a wonderful career there, solid 8 years, made it over to Beverage Director, and then decided to take a little step back from the industry to be a stay-home dad for a couple of years, which is where I'm at right now.
That's awesome.
And you're caught up. We're all done. Nothing else to do. No more. We're all set.
All right. Well, that's question 1.
Love it.
Fucking yeah, awesome. Cheers.
Cheers, dude.
Question 2, drink 2. What are we drinking?
All right, so we're in Amor Y Amargo, which is famously stirred, bitter only. So I'm making a blue shaken cocktail.
Excellent.
It's a Corpse Survivor number blue, Jacob Breyer's famous one.
Okay.
I love a good blue cocktail.
I'm gonna say the same. I'm a sucker for a blue cocktail. So
see a blue drink, drink a blue drink.
Yeah. Awesome. Cheers.
Yeah. Koki.
Oh yeah.
Blue curacao, lemon, gin, a little bit of absinthe.
Fuck yeah.
Turned out good, right?
That's damn good. That is so
it's
good.
It's such a good cocktail.
Now question 2, what is your favorite blue drink?
My favorite blue cocktail, because it's been so good to me, I'd probably have to say the Gunmetal Blue from Porchlight. This one be a very close second, just because it's fantastic and easy and recreatable and fun to make. But the Gunmetal Blue at Porchlight has been a really good cocktail for me professionally.
Okay.
And it was a fun one to make. It was probably the first cocktail I made for Porchlight for their opening menu, and the fact that it's still on there and has been as loved at that bar, I think I feel pretty proud of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's delicious too.
Yeah.
Mezcal, cinnamon, lime, blue curacao. I mean, come on.
Yeah, goes. Just fucking blue drink. I like it. All right. So question 2.
Bring it on.
What is the Puppet Tavern, and who is Bennett?
So, we'll start with who Bennett is.
Okay.
Bennett is a puppet. My wife got me for my 30th birthday a puppet that had similar qualities to me. We'll call it. Had them sideburns added on, a mustache that she had to actively add to this.
Nice.
Back in the day, Theo Schwartz had a partnership with Henson Studios, and you could go and have a kind of a customized puppet. They had a template that you could pick or choose from. And she went in and did that for my 30th birthday, and it was one of the coolest fucking gifts I've ever gotten. And it was just so much fun to have. And then the pandemic hits, and so many of my colleagues, I got furloughed, and USHG went from massive to kind of a skeleton crew in order to survive. I totally understand. I support the decision 100%. And it kind of freed up a little bit of time for me. I feel genuinely fortunate that I managed to get through the pandemic without any major emotional, physical, and health scars or anything along those lines. And while I was home, just stir crazy at home, with my wife working in the other room, because we're just in a New York apartment, a nice one, but a New York apartment, still small. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna do something with this puppet. And that's kind of how Puppet Tavern started. I just started reaching out to friends and being like, hey, what are you doing that's fun? And let's do an interview with the puppet via FaceTime or via just Instagram. And I just started posting small images and some fun videos of him making a cocktail, and it just started to grow and grow a little bit more because it was fun. People enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was during a time when people really wanted and needed something to kind of be joyful about, and I feel everyone loves Muppets. Everyone loves Sesame Street.
Exactly.
Everyone loves a puppet. It's fun, it's whimsical, and it was a really, really interesting way for me to keep studying too, and keep
myself
dialed in and fresh on techniques and skill, because I get to learn a whole new skill, and still be able to talk about it. And that's kind of how the Puppet Tavern really kind of developed itself, and that's where we're at right now, where it's just kind of I do a long-form YouTube video when I can, because definitely my time is a little bit more
with a 2-year-old.
And I do some shorter little clips and whatnot, and I've got a few new ones too. Check them out. I got this guy. I'm gonna call him Sam.
All right.
And he's kind of just your standard bar patron and or bar regular. He can, because of the pineapple, he can also be a tiki bartender. And we just had a lot of fun with him, you can already see you look at him as he's moving. I'm not a ventriloquist. Like, I don't do that at all.
Yeah.
I don't exist anymore. And this is kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's a ton of fun.
It's fucking amazing. It's so just watching the Bennett video, it just I was hooked. Like I was just like so damn cool. Like it's brilliant, it's new, it's refreshing, it's something that I just think is so damn cool.
I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun to do, and I've gotten a lot of really like heartwarming and like wholesome feedback out of it. Like it's cool to be able to like do something that people are like, oh my god, when are you doing one next? When I want to be on one of these things. Let's talk about doing it. It's one of those things. Like if I want to do more and more with them, with more and more people, and like it's just a fun thing to be able to do. And it's
freaking awesome. Like, we'll say that's our follow up for question 4, but it's so freaking cool. But you also wrote an article about 8 cocktails that had changed the world, and we'll link it up here. But
sure.
What are some of the cocktails that have changed your world? Like we talked in the origin story, like how your great Manhattan changed one. Like, do you have like I
don't know if I have 8. I do have a hand. Like it's gonna be a tough one. The Manhattan for sure is one that would be pretty influential. I think the Cosmopolitan would also be one because that, like, if we're going back to some of the earlier bartending I've ever done, that was one of the first times someone was like, "This is a terrible cocktail," and just the one that I made. Not that the Cosmopolitan is a terrible cocktail. The one that I made it so bad, and she was like, "I can't drink this," and got the opportunity like 8 years later to give her another one, and she was like, "Oh no, this is good. Now this is great." And I was like, "All right, I've got it now."
Redemption.
Yeah, redemption, exactly. And I think the first time I got any kind of recognition outside of the bar would be the Champion Justino. It was a mushroom cocktail. Okay. So Justino is a type of infusion that Dave Arnold came up with that blends a spirit with something else and some enzymes to really incorporate the flavors a little bit better. We had the banana Justino on the menu at Booker and Dax for forever, and it was a delightful cocktail. And then I put on this one that had shiitake mushrooms blended and run through the centrifuge with cognac, that's what it was, and a little bit of mole bitters, and it was delightful. I can't drink that specific cognac anymore. I'm not going to say which one it is without tasting mushrooms anymore. So it's kind of like a weird thing that's changed my palate. But it was the first time that I ever got any, and like this isn't the reason why I think it's an important cocktail, but it was the first time I ever really got any recognition outside of the bar, and people started asking me about recipes and started talking to me about it in articles, and like that's kind of that was an interesting moment in my life.
That's awesome.
And then the Gunmetal Blue for sure. That would also be another one because that was just a fun cocktail to be able to create and then and have people that like be that kind of outlandish and people really kind of be like, oh no, this is actually genuinely good and like really excited about. And then I think the other one that I would say would be pretty important. I can't remember. I'm so important. Can't remember. It was a stirred daiquiri I made for Booker and Dax. Which was, it was just a way to sort of like look at a cocktail, and this is something that I really appreciated working with Dave Arnold with. It was like looking at a cocktail and knowing its flavor and knowing how everyone else is kind of zeroed in, dialed in on, and like this is the only way to make it. And then how do we then make it better? Like their gin and tonic was one of the most amazing gin and tonics I think I've ever had. But everyone would look at a gin and tonic and just like for the past 70 years and be like, this is the only way gin and tonic can be made. It's gin with some tonic and pour it over ice, and that's it. Done. We'll squeeze a lime, and then we made a tonic syrup with quinine and simple syrup, and then chilled it with nitrogen or liquid nitrogen, and served it in a flute with no ice, and it was already pre-diluted, and we carbonated the whole thing ourselves, and it was just like every element about a gin and tonic was there, but it was just created in a way that took all of the problems of a gin and tonic out of the equation, and just all the benefits and great parts about gin and tonic, and like just amplified that and focused on that. And I thought that was a really interesting approach to cocktails, and I thought I've tried to keep that in my mind all of the time. Like, is here is a Negroni complete, or is there a way to improve on the Negroni? And clearly, like, there's bitters, there's Italian bitters, there's red bitters, there's Amaro. There's so many elements that you can incorporate into a cocktail that will make it just that much more interesting. And using these like classic cocktails, and then I don't know, just like paying it, like honoring them, but at the same time making it better.
Okay.
So
awesome. Well, that's question 2.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bennett, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
It's my pleasure. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Nick must have ran off quick. Do you know what drink he made us?
So we made us a gin and tonic.
All right.
Pretty standard, straightforward. Made it with Tom's tonic. Love that product.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. Cheers.
Yes, cheers. I will like.
Yeah.
Much more about that.
You got to work later, so I get it.
Yeah.
Well, question 3. We usually call this our talking shit segment because, again, we've had 3 drinks, so...
Sure. Take its effect.
Yeah. People get a little bit more honest off of this, but one of the great questions that I came across and that you guys have done, a few videos on is why is a 7 and 7 the most underrated drink?
Oh man! All right, so the 7 and 7 is just a classic cocktail that I feel like he's talked about this a little bit. Where it's one of those drinks that everyone just sort of assumes is done. Like, we're talking about, everyone's been drinking this since the 70s or the 40s or 50s or whenever everybody started drinking 7 and 7. And it was just forgotten about and just assumed was done. Just like the gin and tonic a little bit too. But what I tried doing when I was making my 7 and 7 is just taking the name and really kind of spinning it on its head. So what we did was 7 different whiskeys, and then take a 7-Up syrup that our chef was using at Porchlight, and using that, and then trying to force carbonate the whole thing. So instead of it just being it was delicious. Instead of it just being like, we're pouring a soda over ice and losing all of the carbonation, we were going to be carbonating the entire thing.
Okay, awesome.
And then even to take it a step further, we put it on draft.
Oh,
so that way, instead of it just being a one-off thing, we were able to make huge amounts of it. And it was a very popular cocktail, and people really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. If you were going to have anybody belly up to your bar, who would you want come to sit at the tavern?
Well, I mean, I think I would love to have Jim Henson come if I was able to pull anybody out.
Yeah.
But Frank Oz, too. That was so much fun. I think if I were to have anybody now, let's say Dale DeGroff.
Okay.
I know that he and I have had a good interaction together, and he wants to sing a song with me at some point, which I am still planning to do at some point. Okay. I really do want to do that.
All right.
But, just getting myself up off the floor, as it is, as it would be, trying to get that out and get that going is always going to be a little bit more difficult.
All right. And then do you have like a favorite cocktail that you like to make, since we're talking a little shit at now? Like, do you have a favorite cocktail you like making at the bar, or
I would say a freezer martini, because I don't have any cleanup to do, and with felt hands, I need to not be red or bitters or anything that can stain.
You're right.
So,
and then do you have a drink that you will never make at the bar?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think if it's something that someone wants to learn about or try or, I don't know, drink, on their own, then yeah, by all means, I'll make anything that anybody wants to have.
Fuck yeah.
Like, I'll do some tiki cocktails if I can.
Okay.
Blender cocktails. Oh, that's all coming down the wire too.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, who doesn't love a good blender cocktail?
Right?
So
oh my
that's,
god. So underappreciated.
Yeah.
I love a good blender cocktail.
We just interviewed Ivy Mix, and she told me the Miami Vice is her favorite drink in the world.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
So
I love
it blew my mind that somebody that was like, she's like, you got 2 blenders? That's the best thing in the world.
Right, but I don't know that many people who have 2 blenders.
Yeah. I don't need, again, New York apartment. I don't even have one. So, Question 3. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Question 3, drink 3, or fuck no. Question 4, drink 4.
4 in this, man.
Damn. You just missed Bennett, so like.
What was he here?
Shucks. What are we drinking?
We're drinking. It's a white Nick Grody.
All right.
I was in Rochester this past week, and a friend of mine gave it to me with a little.
Very nice.
A very old, very flattering photo of
there
me.
we go. What, are you sipping on like?
I don't even know what's going on in that picture.
I don't know. Like,
I'm not going to dive into what it could possibly be. But yeah, so it's a gin, a little bit of Ford's gin, I'm pretty sure is what she said. Sue's, and then Murin dry vermouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. I love it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great.
That is fucking delicious. Oh, that is damn good.
Yeah.
All right, so question 4. Again, not trying to take away anything from being a stay-home dad, because that is fucking awesome. But, like, your mini you is gonna go, like, grow up and, like, go, like, start school pretty soon.
Yeah,
and,
for
like,
sure.
it's just, do you, like, what's next? Like, I know that's such a weird question.
That's a pretty loaded question,
Yeah.
but I'm not entirely sure, and like I feel like that's okay at the moment to not be really sure about it. It's one of those things that, and I think about this a lot now. Is now that I'm like kind of removed from the industry in like whatever sense of the word that means, I get to see the trends kind of ebbing and flowing a little bit more. Like blue cocktails were huge for a little while, and then they were like hated for a while, and then they were loved again for a while, and then they're gonna probably be hated again for a little while, like at some point. And it's wild to say that a technique or a drink, like I left like right at the height of everyone had to have a espresso martini on the menu, and like it's still there, but it's not nearly as talked about anymore. At least not from where I'm sitting.
Okay.
And it's fascinating to see how quickly this industry changes. And one of the things that I'm a little worried about is as a semi-retired bartender, what will bartending look like when I do decide to come back into it, and in what capacity will I be physically and mentally and technically able to get back into it? Because I'm not doing clothing shifts much more anymore. When I do go back, I'll have a kid in school, and I'll need to like get him to class. And I gotta be
breakfast, wash, brush.
I'm never gonna not be a dad anymore, but I could potentially not be a bartender at this point. So it's an interesting crossroads to be, and it's kind of it's really. I'm really fortunate. I say this a lot, and I try to really take it to heart that how fortunate I am that I'm able to do this, like being a stay-home dad and still be comfortable in my ability to do things like this and talk about spirits and talk about cocktails with friends, and then still be able to go home and raise my child is absolutely fortunate. Like, it's such I'm hesitant to say blessed, because it's kind of a trashy way of saying it, but I think it's a really, really nice way of being alive right now. And I'm loving it. It's like the best time of my life is raising this child and not being tied and working the hours that are required to be a bartender or to run a beverage program or to do any kind of like brand advocacy or anything along those lines. And I'm beyond admiration for those in the industry. There's a lot of people who are doing this right now, and like it's really crazy to see how many people, like a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my contemporaries are like having children now. Like, oh, it's so much fun. Like next year, Tales of the Cocktail is going to have a daycare center set up for it. I'm just like,
I think that there was a thing about moms. There was a thing at Tales this year. It was moms.
Was there really?
I think there was like a maybe I'm wrong, but like I thought there was a whole category on moms who are in the bar industry.
I hope so, because they're like becoming a mother. Like watching my wife become a mother has been like it's crazy what it does to her physically and emotionally and just I'm so in awe and in admiration for everything that she can do and has done leading up to and since. And one of the things that I always kind of take I've always tried to take to heart was a bit of advice. I can't remember who told it to me, but like as a dad, I have to understand that I'm always going to be 9 months behind. She is 9 months ahead of me on everything when it comes to knowing about being pregnant, about like just the connection with the child, like everything about it. Like it's a fascinating dynamic between a mother and a child, because there's a connection that I can't even begin to wrap my head around, and I love seeing it every single day. And I'm like, and for my colleagues and contemporaries who are mothers now, I am in such awe of them and their ability to be able to do all of this and be able to be the caring mothers to those of us who are like trying to like come up in the industry and to their own child. And like I love it. It's such an amazing thing to watch. But for myself personally, like, what am I going to be able to do when I get back? I don't know. Like, goes back to what I just said a moment ago, was like, it's okay not knowing right now, because what I have to know in this moment is that
you're a dad.
I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I'm fortunate
perfect.
that that's all I have to really be concerned about.
With like again the immersion, like almost like theater, if you will, like coming back. Do you think that like Puppet Tavern will ever open it's like do a pop up and open its doors?
I hope so.
Like me too. Honestly,
I hope
like
so. I would do something like that in a heartbeat. Like I would. Like it's tiresome. I'm not a ventriloquist. I like doing it like you saw me a moment ago. I'm not gonna be like here and just doing that and like people. Oh, he's not moving his lips. It's not gonna be something I can do. But it's also fun to just be able to see like everyone's eyes go immediately to the puppet.
Yeah, you
instead of I physically disappear in that scenario.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And like. I have here. I'll show you this other guy real quickly. I'll call him Count Negroni. That's kind of the name. This is kind of apropos for the white Negroni right now. But I do have a guy where I can do something like. So here we are. He's got the mustache and the Count, but it's kind of the way that like Fozzie or Cookie Monster are.
So he's
got the two hands. So now I can actually pick things up. And cheers. There we are.
All right.
Very nice.
Cheers.
I'm not going to drink that. But like, then you have to like develop the character, and he's going to be a little more interesting. But then there's another way to like maybe get something for him to be able to consume or whatnot. I don't know. There are ways to go about this. Or like, and I've had things done with Southern. Like I have a puppet that's inspired by Southern tea, and he's always been like, we should do something, or you should do something with him. There's 100%
Yeah.
a plan to be able to do that.
That's awesome.
And we'll see. Like, we'll see. I would love
Yeah.
for there to be like a Puppet Tavern, like physical, or if it's like physical, or if it's on social media, or like where it actually lives. I'm not sure, but I think that I do hope that there is a future for that.
Me too.
Right?
I mean, I really hope you go back to like your pop-up days with your friends and kind of just evolve that, because I think
Sure.
that's kind of coming back now. Like,
Yeah.
That idea of that immersive kind of thing, and you let me know when Puppet Tavern pop-up pops up.
Be right online. I mean, you and we'll do something. We can actually get something going. I think that'll be a ton of
I will
fun.
camp out and be like, I'm cruising live.
We'll do a whiskey tasting or something like that.
That'd
Yeah.
be awesome. All right. Well, that's question 4. So,
All right.
cheers.
Cheers,
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah, of course.
Question 5. Drink 5.
Bring it on.
Last drink of the night.
Uh-huh.
What are we drinking?
We're drinking an M&M.
All right.
Just something nice, easy. Mezcal, Montenegro. Squeeze a little orange twist over the top, just because.
That's a damn good way to end
Right?
the night. Oh.
No need for ice. Nothing to like. Yeah. Straight away.
All right. So question 5
All right.
comes down to flip the Whiskey Wednesday coin. You can flip it.
Are there
you can-
multiple coins in here?
There are.
Okay.
So that's our story 1. The purple one is our story 2, but I like story 1 way better.
Okay.
It's heavy as shit, so if anybody ever fucks with you, you can throw it at them. And then 2, it's also bulletproof, so keep it close to your heart. So,
Okay.
But yeah, one side says fuck yeah, one side says fuck no. So again, you don't have to answer the question.
All right.
The coin will answer the question for us.
All right. Great.
But if you feel ever so inclined, go ahead. And it's just a stupid question to end the night with.
Uh-huh.
So question 5.
Mm-hmm.
You ever wear socks with sandals?
I can answer that right off the bat, but.
Coin says fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah! No! That's
True.
I guess I'm a dad now,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
guess
yeah,
I
yeah.
have to. It's one of those things that changes with your whole
Yeah, yeah.
wardrobe. Is now I wear socks with sandals.
Right.
So okay, you got me.
Well, there we go. That's 5 drinks down, 5 questions answered. Nick,
midnight
thank
yet?
you so much. Not even close. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, man. It's very nice
It's
doing
been
this with you.
fucking awesome. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it until we can drink together again. So
Soon.
cheers.
Soon. Yeah. Soon.
Boom. All of
Here
them.
we are. Gotcha.
There we go. Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thank you
That was
so
a ton
much.
of fun, man.